very, very responsible manner. Great way to celebrate Riverfest together, and we're loving it here ourselves, right? So this evening we are going to be joined by three fantastic guests. I was counting James's four. Right, three fantastic guests. Right, we'll bring them in and we'll introduce them in no particular order, just the way they're popping up on my screen. Right. So firstly we have Mr. Fergal Deegan. Fergal Deegan, we all know Fergal probably most famously from the Limerick Post, or Limerick Leader, Limerick Post. I was going to say Fergal, Jesus Christ, the Limerick Leader. You know, and like Fergal, this weekend would have been traditionally would have been quite busy with the barbecue happening in around the city. And yesterday he was barbecuing at Cleaners Foundation, and I think people can still donate, can they, if they want?
Yeah, Mike, we as usual. Riverfest is a great weekend for the city. The barbecue, normally the Mayor's Balls on a Friday, and we're all home over on the Saturday morning. We're down doing the barbecue, which is an interesting, and it's a great day. It was great buzz around the city. And then of course you had the run and everything. So I did my 10K. Well, I was ranked around my 10K today. Actually 12.6. My wife informed me. But yeah. So we kept it last year when we couldn't do the barbecue. We did a virtual barbecue. So we had some fun with it yesterday. Some of my friends, they all barbecued and dressed up, and we raised a few bob for Cleaners Foundation, and it was a great occasion.
Yeah, and look, and if anyone does want to just contribute to that, they can go search out Fergal on social media there, and you can contribute if you wish. I'm not pushing anyone to do anything, but just it's a good cause. Okay, and next I'm going to go to Meghann. So Meghann Scully has joined us, and I'm going to say we had a bit of a revelation yesterday evening, because the colour on the label matches a colour from something that you had done very recently, or very close. Your little book.
Oh yes, Little Pocket of Love. Yes, I launched. Yeah, so thanks so much for having me, first of all, and I'm so excited for tonight. Yeah, so I launched my second book, Little Pocket of Love, just there a couple of months ago now. So yeah, it's been great. It's been well received, and yeah, it's doing great. So I'm delighted.
Yeah, and we were it wasn't even intended. We were laughing because it just it just happened to be that way, that it was purple, and you had said you'd join us then, and it made it even better.
No, sure, look, it all happens. Everything happens for a reason. But yeah, no, I have to say, loving the purple shade as well, and excited to get going with the brandy.
Yeah, and I suppose the final guest then that we have, right? He was here with us on Paddy's Day to help us and guide us through the whiskey. He's come back now, right? And I can't say that he's the whiskey expert, because Fergal, I think, is the expert on brandy here, you know. But Colm is definitely going to give a big insight into brandy as the evening goes on. So I just want to say a big thank you to Colm O'Connor from the Celtic Whisky Store, who's joining us. Colm, good Limerick man as well, all the way from Meghann, living above in the capital. But you know, he's going to give us a little bit of his experience this evening. So look, let's kick this off, right? So I'm going to say huge welcome from myself and James. As always, we're delighted to welcome you into Peggy's Parlour. As I said in the intros, we're coming in. We can't be together physically, but this is the next best thing. And it's probably one of the safest ways for us to gather and celebrate this evening. You know, we are very, very excited about brandy, because brandy is one of those beverages that most of us are afraid of and have had poor experiences with. And we're going to try our very, very best to make sure that this evening is somewhat enjoyable.
Fergal's very excited there now. He's smiling already. Giddy. Look, he's giddy already.
There's a fine brandy selection behind him already.
So I can say I'm so excited. I actually wore my cardigan, and I feel like I should be sitting in front of a fire with a pipe or something to get ready to sip the brandy. But you know, and on a serious note, we were asked actually yesterday what is brandy and what are the differences between the different types of brandy, in particular cognac versus Armagnac. And you know, we were discussing this last night, and we were trying to come up with the best way of trying to describe it, and we were thinking about macro beer producers versus micro beer producers, or craft beer producers, and all this kind of stuff. And on my way in here this evening, I met a French guy, and I said to him, "What's the difference between cognac and Armagnac?" And he said to me, "Well," he goes, "we don't ever," he said, "give away the good stuff, so we keep the Armagnac for ourselves." Right. So I think that'll probably lead into this. So this evening we're going to taste some cognacs, Armagnac, Calvados, and then we're going to have an apple brandy, right? So there's 4 different types in here. You'll have received your kit. There's 50 mils in each bottle. We only need 15 mils for the purposes of tasting. We don't need any more. We would suggest keeping it back and having it at a later date. We are definitely advocates for responsible serving and consumption of alcohol. That is the T's and C's out of the way, and I won't mention it again.
In other words, don't do it, Dan Mooney.
Don't do it, Dan Mooney. But we're all adults here, right? So you can do what you want. It's your brandy to do it as you want. Don't be afraid as we go through this. If you don't get some of the tastes or the aromas that we're getting, that's not the end of the world, guys, right? Because everyone is unique and everyone is different. Whatever you get is what you get, right? There's no right or wrong answers, unless, right? I'm going to say you're not going to get any peat from any of this. So if you're smelling peat,
your house is on fire. Start running.
Yeah, right. and if you can't smell it, we did a tasting on Friday where there was a guy on the call and he couldn't smell anything at all and couldn't taste anything.
COVID.
Unfortunately, we recommended him to go and get a COVID test because there was something seriously wrong, right? So look, as I said, we're going to launch into this. So we're going to start with sample number 1, right? And we're going to keep the format of the Meghann is there. We're going to keep we're going to keep the format pretty simple. We're going to have a little look at the brandy, right? We're going to look at the color because more so the brandies don't actually suffer from the fact that there's colorants added, right? And then we're going to nose it, and then we're going to taste it, and then we're going to discuss. If at any time anyone has any questions and they want to ask, throw it up on the chat if you wish. If you don't want to put it on the chat, raise your hand virtually. The only thing I will say is this is being recorded. Only the four people or the 4 screens that you see on your screen are being recorded. No one else is. But if you want to ask the question personally, you will be recorded. So just be sure that you're happy to be recorded. Okay, we're going to move on to number 1. So, right. Number 1, there's a beautiful color to it. It's lovely clarity to it.
Gorgeous copper color to it.
Yeah, beautiful color to this one, right? And okay, we're going to nose it now. I was asked Friday night. We were doing another tasting. Anyone else having trouble? Is everyone okay with the sound? We have one. Okay, yeah, we're all okay. No, it's just Ger. I think it's just you, Ger. Okay, so we were asked Friday night, what's the best way to nose it? For us personally, right? We bring it to the bottom of our top lip, no further. Get the aroma, and then if we need to go in deeper, we go in deeper with it, i.e. put your nose further into the glass. Unlike wine tasting, there's an awful lot of aromatics going on in these spirits anyway, so you don't have to get your nose right in there, right? So sometimes the worst thing you can do is dive right in because you'll just flood yourself, right? And you'll go what they call nose blind. But that it'll come back, right? So I wouldn't worry about it. So we're gonna nose this, right? So we're gonna give it a. Now I'm gonna Fergal as the brandy aficionado. Go on.
Do you want to give it a go? What are you getting?
What are you smelling for? What is the
smell it first?
Slow down.
The smell is no good. You have to taste it. I'm getting a taste of more, Michael.
Okay, I'm going to Meghann, right?
He's gone full Dan Mooney.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm getting this. I feel like this could be the apple one. I'm getting notes of apple.
Yeah, that's a great call. Yeah, like a tangy apple.
Yeah, sweet notes.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's very soft. It's almost rustic and earthy going on. It's definitely well rounded.
A little bit of dried apricot in there as well. A little bit of vanilla going on through it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
I'm actually getting a bit of pepper off it.
There's actually nothing going on in mine, Mike.
Well, now just while Fergal has his empty glass, right? Because normally we wait till everyone has kind of drank it. When the glass is empty, right? Sometimes it's best just to warm it up in your hands and get the aroma from it, and you might be able to smell it a little bit better, right? Okay, so we're going to go in and we're going to taste this, right? We're going to dive right into it.
Go on, so Fergal, what you think? You had the first one there. Not sure.
No.
I suppose for us, we'd always kind of bring it back to food as well, though, if we can, and things like that. So, like for me, I'm kind of thinking kind of an apple pie.
Mm-hmm.
So you are getting the apple off it. There's definitely vanilla there as well, I think.
Yeah.
Huge.
A little bit of dried fruit, a little bit savoury is going on there.
Little touch of cinnamon in there as well. It's well rounded.
There's a Sidona came up here on the chat. Yeah, that's a very good one. Yeah.
It's very easy on the palate.
It's got a beautiful spice going through it though as well. It's got like a small hint of like black pepper or something like that going through it.
Yeah.
It's definitely seen wood for a long time as well. So I'd imagine it's something that's been, 10 plus years aged as well. So it's
maybe not. Maybe not.
No.
Nice and warm as well, isn't it? It's like a little cuddle on the throat.
That's a very good way of putting it. Actually, I quite like that. A little cuddle on the throat. I'm stealing that, right? So we're getting some comments in saying like a warm apple pie or an apple pie, hint of cloves, spiced apple pie. Yeah, all of that. Yeah, it is right. It's very apple forward, right? It's most certainly apple based. It's really, really nice, right? It's actually quite delicious. That is almost like your dessert, if I was to be quite honest, right?
That would be something. After the dinner I had there a while ago, I think that was the ideal drink to start with. It's after settling me down right away.
Be careful, Colm. You have 5 more to go.
Yeah. So
no such thing as careful in this house.
But based on our tasting, right? So we have 2 apple products in of the 6, right? So it's either going to be a Calvados or it's going to be an apple brandy, right? Because both of those are apple based.
Mm-hmm.
And as we talk about brandy, right? I should have mentioned this. So brandy is really a wine or fruit based spirit, or a fruit juice based spirit. And would say like Cognac is a region in France, Armagnac is a region in France, and your Calvados again is a region in France, right? And like very much like we talk about Champagne being a region, Champagne being a sparkling wine, Brut, whatever way you want to call it, it's a region in France. Same with these, right? But there are certain rules around it, right? And I think it's probably the best time to talk about it, right? Because with brandy, right, you can have, and if anyone ever watched like Moonshiners on Discovery Channel, right, you can put anything into brandy: peaches, nectarines, apples, oranges, whatever you want, right? So brandy then delves down. So your cognac, which probably that we're all aware of, the Hennessy,
yeah,
right? Probably the biggest one we all know of, right?
A good Corkman went to France for
a good Corkman. That is a very specific type of brandy, right? And that comes from one grape. And interestingly, that grape is so bitter and so acidic that you can't drink the wine that's made from that first.
It's awful.
Yeah, it's awful. Yeah, and so they distill that wine down to make brandy out of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Then you move into your Armagnac. That comes from a selection of grapes, right? There's normally 4 grapes in it, maybe 5, and from that, you can actually drink that wine as it is, right? It's quite sweet. It's quite palatable, right? They distill that down then again, and they get their beautiful Armagnac from it. And then you have your Calvados, which is basically it's apples, or it can be pears, right? That can go into it as well, right? And they macerate it in. They make a liquid out of it. They make kind of almost like an apple. I don't want to say cider, but it's kind of an apple wine.
It essentially is, yeah. Essentially, it is a cider that is distilled, yeah.
Yeah, and I suppose then we get into it. We've all seen the age statements that we've had in there, right? So you'll see them with VSOP. Fergal was showing us a bottle of XO there recently, right? So like the VS, depending, right? For Cognac, it's 2 years old. For Armagnac, it's 1 year old. The VSOP is 4 years old. The XO changed in 2018 from being 6 years to now 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So just be careful if you're ever buying a bottle of aged brandy. If it says XO on it, if it was pre-2018, it's only 6 years old. Whereas if it's post-2018 or 2018 and onwards, it's now 10 years old. And then you have a weird classification in there called, is it Napoleon?
Napoleon as well, yeah.
Yeah,
Napoleon crosses both. Yeah, Napoleon crosses both divides as well. So you have that in Cognac and Armagnac. There's a couple of other little, I suppose, things to separate them out as well. Cognac is from the north side of Bordeaux, and it generally has a soil very close to Champagne, so it's a real chalky style soil. It uses the Ugly Blanc grape, which is the main grape in cognac, but also uses Colm as well, and there's one other grape that I can't think of off the top of my head. And then it uses like a copper pot still.
Mm-hmm.
But also then when you go down to Armagnac, which is the southern end of Bordeaux, that has more sandier soils. Again, it uses Ugly Blanc, but he also uses another grape called Baco. And then it uses more of an Asian style alembic pot still. So that would have been used for like perfumes and so on and so forth. So there's a couple other little variations between them all that sort of influences the flavor between both styles. But it's really interesting just to see the comparisons between both of them, and it'll be excellent to actually try them as we go on tonight.
Yeah. So we're going to move on to number 2. So right, so maybe take in a little bit of water. You know, and you will note, right, that throughout this, unlike the whiskey, we're not adding any water to this because it doesn't really need water per se, right? Now, if you feel it is a little bit overpowering and you need to add the water, please do. You know, but less sometimes is more with the water. So we'll move on to number 2, right? Okay, we're gonna have a little look at the color again. It's a beautiful copper color. 1 minute now.
Just one technical issue. 1 second now.
So can people see one screen or 4?
See 4, and
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
It's only you, so Anthony.
Yeah, it's only Anthony Cronin. It's only you. Whatever way you would set up. Sorry, we just had a question and said you could only see one person speaking at a time. So it's maybe your setting. And maybe check that. Okay,
yeah, you can change the settings to show either everyone or just people who are talking. So to the top right, there says view. So if you click on that, you should be able to get it to the 4.
No, Anthony.
Can you figure
that out, or if we kick you off?
Kicking him off. Anthony's a good buddy of ours, right? He gives us a hand here, right? So we can say what we want to him, and he won't take too much offense. Okay, we're going to move on to number 2. Right? We're going to know his number 2. Just immediately, right? Number 2 is completely different to the first one. That there's definitely the lack of apple in it. This one is a little bit more. It's a little lighter. It's a little bit more subtle. You're probably going to want to get in there a little bit more to nose it. Fergal, will we start with you? Do you want to try this one?
I'm getting that again. I think I've COVID.
Colm, we go to you so instead.
Definitely, it's a little more pungent on the nose, I find. There's a little bit more going on in it, a little bit stronger.
Feels like it could be a lot harsher than the last one.
I wouldn't say harsher.
Smokier.
So I'm going to let me kick this. So there's a little bit of light spice to it, right? But I'm getting almost like a citrus, like an orange zest in there. I'm also getting, right, if I'm being quite honest with you, if you've ever had like a dried grape husk or something like that, it's kind of that kind of white winey kind of aroma from it. Emma Langford is here saying she gets caramel. I wouldn't disagree, Emma, because I know that your nose is actually quite good. So we know that from one of the last tastings.
There's a bit of vanilla in there as well.
There's a little bit of vanilla in there, yeah. And John Doyle is saying that it's more like the brandies that we're kind of used to tasting. And smelling. Yeah, I would agree with you, John. Yeah, 100%.
It's more like a cognac this time, I think.
Okay, why don't we get into tasting it, because the aroma is a little bit difficult in this one.
Yeah, Patrick Cannan's just come out and said cloves again. I think that's hugely prominent in there.
So Jeff,
is there a bit of pepper in there?
I would agree with you. Yeah,
definitely it's spice on it. Yeah, it's pepper on the.
Jeff is saying there's no real finish to it. I would agree with that as well. It's very short and sharp. Doesn't really linger very. And Meghann had mentioned the warming that doesn't seem to be there in this one. The cuddle,
no cuddle this time.
There's no cuddle this time. I think you're definitely getting more vanilla on the taste on the palate than on the nose. Yeah. Like for me, actually, I'm getting a bit of butterscotch. Just on the palate. Anything else? Fergal, did you like this one?
No, I like the other one. The other one was easier. This is like this feels like it's more real than the last one.
This,
as in I get the real kick out of it. The last one went down too easy.
this one is more kind of a spicy, a spicy kick to it, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bit like Papagino's on his pizza. There's a fair hint of black pepper on it, all right.
And actually, just as I'm leaving it warm up in my hand here, because I haven't even finished it. As I leave it warm up, as I was tasting it, the finish seems to be getting a little bit longer the more I have of it. Which is originally I would have said it was really short, as in no finish whatsoever. Now it seems to be that little bit longer. Someone said that they're definitely getting the butterscotch. Yeah.
The way the number one was like the cute little cuddle. I feel like that one was the kind of like when someone just go hi, just gives you a big quick hug, and you're like, whoa, geez, that was very fast.
Geez, you're all about hugs today.
Yeah. You know, I haven't hugged anyone in ages.
No hugging allowed. Yeah, no hugging allowed.
That's it. This is a no hug zone.
This is where I'm getting like cuddles and my hugs right now.
Okay, so as we finished the glass, right? Someone said actually definitely one for the ginger ale. Okay, Colm, yeah, I wouldn't disagree with you. Yeah, I love ginger ale with a brandy. As we finish the glass, right? Sometimes we just let it warm up in our hands, right? Just as the glass is empty, and we go back into the nose, and we might get a slightly different nose on it. And I'm going to say, with this one, I don't think that it benefits from it, right? It doesn't really have any effect to it, upwards or downwards. So on that, we're going to take in some water, because water is very important, and then we're going to move on to number 3.
I think James is quite right though there. What he's saying there, it's quite a subtle finish. It definitely is. That spice just lingers though for me as well. And there's nice sort of makes your mouth water a bit, and holds a reasonable acidity towards the end. But it's it's definitely a far-flung drink from the first one we tried anyway.
There's definitely like that finish on the first one compared to the second one is totally different, I think.
Oh yeah, chocolate cheese.
Yeah, they're two completely different brandies.
Good. Yeah. That's always part and parcel of this, is to experience different experiences. Because if they're the same, it just means I filled them in the wrong bottles. So I'm going to say, just as we're moving through it, if there's anyone on social media and you want to tweet about it or text about it or put it up on Instagram, just make sure to tag Riverfest in it, because it is the Riverfest weekend in Limerick City, and it's kind of beneficial. Just even though we're not part of one of the official events, we're still here. We're still celebrating Riverfest. So let's let people know how we're celebrating.
Jesus, I used to dread working Riverfest when I was working down home. It was always so busy.
The Sunday afternoon used to be quite interesting after the run.
Oh God, yeah, Jesus, yeah.
People dehydrated and all that good stuff, and 2 or 3 points in, and we'll be sending them home. Okay, we're gonna move on to number 3. So number 3.
I wouldn't know. I wasn't one for running.
Yeah. 15 mils in number 3. We're going to take a little look at the color. Again, it's a beautiful kind of a copper color. Absolutely, like if this was a whiskey, we'd be loving it, right? But yeah, it's a beautiful color to it. We're going to go in and we're going to nose it.
Fabulous,
again,
fabulous nose.
Yeah, as we're nosing it, remember that if sometimes we get a little bit overpowered, right? And one of the easiest ways to try and clear our nose. So what you want to do is you want to smell on bare skin, i.e. the back of your hand or behind someone's ear, Elaine. And you take a couple of short,
we all saw you, Elaine.
Yeah. Couple of short, sharp sniffs. We like to do it on our elbow, but I'm wearing my cardigan today, so I can't get into my elbow. So back of the hand, couple of sniffs, and then we're good to go again.
Make sure your hands are washed.
Yeah.
Lot sweeter than the last one.
Yeah. Good call.
There's actually a good comment there straight off the mark. It was Pat had butterscotch straight in there.
Yeah.
Big kick of it.
Vanilla again? More vanilla even.
It's a lot more viscous than any of the first two that we tried so far as well.
Yeah.
The way it coats your mouth.
Well, we haven't got that far yet even.
Well, I have, so I'm jumping the gun. And
I'm going to say I'm definitely getting some stewed, kind of like stewed fruits from it. You know, there's definitely that fruity kick. I wouldn't go as far as to say Christmas cake, kind of, because I don't get the spice on the nose, but I just get the beautiful fruit.
I don't know what hope this is, Meghann.
Oh, hold on. I haven't drank it yet.
Yeah, wait till you drink it.
I said a little pear. I'd agree. It's definitely in there.
There's a bit of honey in it.
I'm going to say something really weird, right? I almost get like a little aroma of jasmine off it. You know.
The Jasmine Palace, is it?
I was just going to say it.
No, Fergal, we barbecued today in honor of you. Okay, we're going to go in. We're going to go in and taste. So, folks, we're going to go in and taste.
That's an absolute knockout of a drink. I think that's absolutely fantastic.
This is it's absolutely well balanced.
It's a lot more smooth. It's a lot more smoother now than number two.
I'm going to say something which sometimes we don't say very often. The color and the idea in your head that you get from the color follows through into the taste of this. Like you see that beautiful copper color. You think quality. It's following through on it. Like
it tastes like it looks.
Fergal,
yeah,
it's a hearty hug.
All right, okay.
I was going to say let's go to Meghann. Yeah, hearty hug. Very good.
Hearty hug.
The third one is the hearty hug. We'll have that when we go up to Mother Mac's when they're open.
A hearty hug.
Please God. So I'm going to say I'm getting it. Look, I'm getting a big. There's a bit of caramel twist. There's a bit of brown sugar. There's some lovely fruit and raisins. There's vanilla going through it. Look, there's sultanas. It's the cake.
Yeah,
you know, it's
absolutely huge.
Just,
I think James Walsh is spot on there. There's plenty of aging on this. I'd say easily 12, 13, 14 years on it.
So James
is the one you don't leave out of the country, Mike.
Yeah, that's it. Bossman had to sneak it in overseas down the leg of the pants.
So James is joining us from Fine Wines on Roches Street. We're actually lucky to kind of have him because he is pretty well gotten in all this kind of circle of the world in terms of taste.
Stop. Sure, I can't sell to him. Jeez, he knows all me tricks.
Yeah, James is a whiskey man.
James the whiskey man.
James the whiskey man, definitely.
Emma's saying she's getting kind of a black tea. Maybe a bit of kind of caramel, kind of
I think that's an excellent shout out to Emma actually. Yeah, that black tea shout is top notch.
There's a taste of more of this one, right? There really is. It's absolutely delicious.
There is a bit of peppery kind of on the finish, though. It's kind of it does sit there in the back of the throat.
Not as much as the last one.
Not as much as the last one. No. It's a nice pepper.
No, it focuses less on spice. It's more about that lovely fruit aroma that's come through. Again, all those Christmas cake flavors that a lot of people have mentioned as well.
And just
you'll have to stop talking Christmas, will you please?
Boiled fruit. It's gone to boiled fruit cake now, right?
So we'll just go back to the glass. Right, so as the glass is empty, let's go back and just see is there any more subtle aroma that we missed out on in the beginning? We get in there nice and and. No, I mean I think it's been very consistent with what we got originally.
Definitely getting like the raisins now, all right, actually.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think the vanilla is coming out more for me anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say there's that little bit of woodiness, kind of the nuttiness you'd expect from it is coming out. It's coming out as well, right? But yeah, that.
I'm going to have to start eating better to get these aromas and stay away.
Stay away from Donkey Fords.
The chicken.
Start baking some Christmas cakes now. We'll be grand.
So we're gonna take in some water because as we go through this, water is essentially important. No one wants to get dehydrated on the bank holiday Sunday and ruin the rest of the weekend. And when there's out in the sun today, it's very important as well, right? So again, we're gonna move on to number 4 then, right? So we're gonna pour out 15 mils of number 4. We'll give everyone a chance as we can see him doing it. Beautiful. again, the color on number 4 is quite similar to number 3. It's a beautiful, beautiful copper kind of color. Absolutely fantastic. Again, you'd have an expectation on this one as well. So why don't we get in and give it a little bit of a nose, see what we get. Ooh. So now, for me, this one is similar to the previous one, only with a little bit of a funky kick.
Yeah.
You know.
I think James is right there with a touch of butterscotch.
Butterscotch, yeah.
Yeah, there is. There's something. Yeah, it's a nice sweet kick off it.
No, there's a bit of funky. Actually, this one is going to be quite. This one is going to be quite interesting. Elaine Vaughan, marshmallows. Yes, I would say marshmallows and clouds.
Can I have a hot chocolate, please?
So it's interesting, right? We were talking to a customer the other day, and he had said to us when he tastes, he sees colors, and it's quite funny. So he can see like purple and violet and that kind of stuff. And there was a name to it. I found it quite fascinating, actually. You know, but yeah. So I'm just wondering, is anyone in the call that can actually see a color or put a color to this? Yeah. Okay. Brian is saying he can. Yeah. That's. Yeah, I think you're in is 1 in a million or something, or 1 in 2 million. Or it's pretty special.
James just mentioned single distillation. I don't think so. I'd say it's a double distillation. I think all the products here tonight, or all the brandies here tonight, are double distilled. So I wouldn't say a single distillation, but I could be wrong.
I'd almost go as far as a pot still, even as I'm in it, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think I know which when you said funky, I think I know straight away which one it is now.
Should yeah.
Now, to be fair, I didn't see the lineup either. The exact lineup. I just know.
Sorry, Colm is blind to what's going on tonight, right? He knows what we have, but doesn't know the order that they're in. So we've cheated on.
That's cheating.
Well, it isn't.
Well, it's not. He bought it off me.
Okay, let's go in and taste this, right? The aroma is quite good, very similar to the first one, but with a little bit of a funky kick to it.
Oh, much softer than 2 and 3.
It's like number 1.
Yeah, it's a bit more like without the apple. Yeah,
but there is a little bit of cinnamon in there.
Yeah,
there is a little bit of I hate sounding pretentious when I say almost like kind of like a papery leather kind of. It's a funky kind of flavor.
It's got some reasonably big tannins in there as well. It hits the top of your gums and sits right up there, and those spices and tannins really, just your top lip up here, it just really attacks those.
And that's suggestive of what then, Colm? What will that tell us about it as we taste it?
Well, it's. I suppose it tells you more about the oak and anything else. Tannins aren't present in every bit of oak or anything like that, but it's definitely got big tannins.
And just for anyone to call, how do like I taste tannins in the middle of my tongue, and it's kind of like I'm going to say, for want of a better word, spikiness,
tingly.
Yeah, right. That's exactly it, right? And that's how I taste tannins, and they come down into the side of the cheeks almost. And that's, for me, that's how I know when there's tannins, and there's a lot of it going on in here. And that would say to me that this is oak. Has been in oak for longer than any of the other 3 that we've tasted already. Someone had said they're definitely a red wine. Actually, Emma, a red wine vibe coming off it.
Yeah, well, that would be those tannins. Any of the big heavy red wines that you can think of. That's a very, very good call right there.
And as we discussed when we did the whiskey tasting, Ireland's love for tea has helped us with our love for whiskey as well. And red wine. So those tannins are fantastic. We do drink a lot of tea in this country.
I'm going to say as well that this is the friendly hug. So it's like the person you haven't seen in a while and you give them a hug. So it's like the friendly hug.
Fergal, what kind of a hug do you think it is?
I think it's any hug I can get at the moment.
What's a hug?
Do you like this one genuinely? As a brandy drinker?
It again, this is like the number one, the first one we tested. It's gone down very easy.
Yeah.
There's no grab on the palate. There's no grab on the throat. It's just gone down easy.
I think that's just the sign of a well-made spirit, though, rather than anything else. Like, you know, like all 6 of the things that we're drinking here tonight are all very well made spirits. But I think it's more, you know, that this is just, it's really round. All the sharp edges are taken off it, and it just makes it go down super, super easy.
Yeah, as you said, there's no sharp edges. Yeah, it's smooth.
Absolutely.
And again, I'm going to say, like, that when sometimes we taste with our eyes as much as our other senses, and when we look at the color of that one, as we looked at it, it was a beautiful, beautiful color, and we'd expect that kind of to taste really well, and it's followed through, and it has.
Yeah, looking through the chat there, Cora actually put it up that Oliver says it smells like coffee, and I can sort of see where it's coming from. There's almost that espresso bean vibe coming through it a little bit.
Bit of honey as well, no? I get a bit of honey now with the
Yeah,
glass.
absolutely.
Yeah, there, yeah. Actually, it's quite interesting on this one. Right? That glass has been empty for the last 2 or 3 minutes, right? And I've gone back into to smell it, and I'm going to say that red wine kick that Emma was talking about is definitely coming through on the aroma now. Yeah, 100%. You know, okay, we'll keep progressing. We'll move on to number 5. So, right?
I think though the only question about tea is it berries or lines?
Hey.
So John Doyle is saying it was a great spirit, but it's definitely not for your Hennessy drinker, right? Fergal?
Well, he's right. Yeah, it's how to put it. If you're a Hennessy drinker, you know you're a Hennessy drinker. As I said, that's very, very smooth. Doesn't have the kick or the bit of bite in it.
Yeah.
Well, for anyone wanted to move from, we'll say, a whiskey into more cognac or vice versa, if you remember the Method Madness single malt that came out 2 years ago, whatever, or so on, that was finished in French Limousin oak, which is the same oak that's used in cognac maturation and the Method Madness. So trying those side by side would actually be a great comparison to see what that wood does between a cognac and what it does between the whiskey as well. So you could go in, and the lads in Bas-Armagnac there now could do a little whiskey flight or a little whiskey and brandy flight, and you see the differences between what the wood does to one spirit and the other.
And it's actually it's interesting because that is the whole Method and Madness ethos to see the effect that the timber has and all that good stuff. Okay, we'll move on to number 5. So, right, again, we're looking at lovely 15 mils of it. We don't thank you for making us modeling it beautifully.
Yeah, sure. That's what I'm here for.
Definitely got the coffee smell from it, and the longer the glass was empty. Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. Right, that sometimes is good. It's a good exercise to do. That once the glass is empty, just let it warms it up a little bit quicker. The aromatics, the volatiles are there a little bit better, and you sometimes get a clearer aroma from it. Okay, number 5.
Ooh.
Oh, excuse me. On the nose.
Wow.
Some apples, I'd say, in there.
Yeah.
Clove rocks. Do you remember those clove rocks?
Cloves, yes. The sweets should buy.
Remember those boiled sweets? Yeah.
Yeah.
That you buy in the half pound or quarter pound.
With the bull's eyes.
That's it. That's the one.
I'm definitely getting a bit of vanilla from it.
Yeah, vanilla.
Well,
yeah.
Kind of toasted wood.
There's a good char in that oak.
Yeah. Definitely toasted wood.
Emma's come back with a kind of a tropical fruit. There's a bit of, it's kind of a...
Yeah, what did James say there? Sorry, no.
Toffee.
James has said Sidona. I would,
Stewed,
you know what?
I'm getting a heavy stewed pear off of that.
Yeah, I was going to say that Colm is gone, right? We've lost Colm. Lost him. Look, yeah, there's definitely a fruit in there, right?
Sidona. There's no Christmas cake in here.
No Christmas cake in this one. No.
It's definitely, there's definitely a fruit in this too. Maybe an apple, a pear.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of stewed, I suppose, stewed kind of fruits in there.
Someone said toffee as well. I think there's quite a toffee taste of it.
Yeah. So let's go and taste this one, right? Because this one kind of is more desserty as well, right? I think it'll be interesting as we. Ooh, do you like Colm McInnes?
There's a kick.
There's
a bit of a kick off of that one.
There's a kick off that at the end. You don't expect it.
There's a spice. There's a definite spiciness to this one.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's sorry, that's the missus is here roaring that there's lovely spice off it as well.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I get a real strong stewed pear vibe off of that.
I would agree 100%. I'd agree with there's a stewed pear to it.
Definitely pear on it. Like I'm getting kind of a stewed apple off it as well.
Do you know what it reminds me of, right? And again, we spoke about taking things back to food, almost like a toffee apple.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of baked toffee apple, or a baked pear. I don't know, does anyone's mother ever bake a pear in the oven with a bit of brown sugar on it? That kind of.
Or at Halloween when you're bobbing for apples.
Yes, there you go. Yeah.
I do that. Do you remember on Halloween you get that it's a chocolate covered apple toffee thing, and it's like breaks your teeth, but like you love it because it's Halloween.
Because you're 7 and your teeth will actually grow back.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, you like to
John Doyle is saying, is apple drops? Yeah, I would.
Oh yeah.
Is there a touch of pepper or something in there? That's.
There's a little spice to it, Fergal. Yeah, there is. Yeah,
it is, but it's quite soft. It's not too noticeable.
I would say that this one, as we let it warm up, would in the empty glass will definitely give us a kick of. Yeah, if you go back to your empty glass, right, and get the aroma from it, you can definitely get the apple coming from a little bit stronger.
Yeah,
definitely.
Side odorness coming from it. 100%. It's definitely there a bit better. Really nice actually. So look, I mean, again, we can assume, right, that this is it'll either be a Calvados or it'll be a brandy or an apple brandy, one or the other.
There is definitely a kick of
the fact
that the apple. Everyone's getting the apple off it, so yeah.
The fact that we were talking about the pear, we can kind of push it. We can push it one direction more so than the other because we wouldn't expect the pear in an apple brandy. But yeah, it's beautiful, and the taste does linger. It lingers a little bit. The finish is I would say medium with the spice holding in the back of the tongue. But that's really pleasant, really pleasant.
Beautiful.
As a Hennessy drinker, this wouldn't be for you, I don't think, would it?
No.
Yeah.
No, it wouldn't. No.
Actually, Megan, we never asked you. Sorry, across you.
Go on, James.
No, walk away. Go on, you were saying, but.
No, but I'm saying like it's one. I don't know. I find when it comes to brandy, you end up getting a taste for a particular brand, and then when you can and you go for we'll say the more expensive and the real one, they're chalk and cheese. So you acquire a taste like anything else. If you drink Hennessy, you know it's Hennessy. If you go into a place and you end up someone throws you a Napoleon or throws you something else, you'll know the difference.
Yeah, do you know what? Funny enough, I think that's something that we find quite regularly with whiskey drinkers or brandy drinkers, especially in my job. I'm sure James Walsh will agree with me as well. We're lucky enough to try all these different things the whole time. This is my first time trying Calvados in years, actually. I can't even remember the last time we tried it. But it's, people describe themselves as Hennessy drinkers or Jameson drinkers. And straight away, you'll put something there in front of them and it'll be completely different or be the same type of product, but, some different flavors straight away. They'll nail you on it straight away. And there is a brand loyalty out there for Hennessy in Ireland or Jameson as well, and it's quite funny to see it at times.
And it's amazing, really, right? Because it's not just Ireland. Internationally, Hennessy is huge, and
it's the biggest in the world.
The whole cognac market is huge. Sorry, you were going to ask.
No, Megan, I was just going to ask you: would you be a whiskey drinker or would you be a brandy drinker? Because we know Fergal is a brandy drinker.
It's funny. I haven't much experience of brandy at all. So this for me was really. This is why I find this really educational. I probably would drink whiskey before I drink brandy, but now after tonight, I think I've definitely been swayed to brandy. But can I just say as well that this is the surprising hug? It's like when you meet that person and you're kind of like, will they hug me or not? And then suddenly they give you a hug and it's like actually a really nice hug. So this is a surprising hug.
Okay, wow. We're going to move on to the last one. What surprises that one gives. I've never.
The last one is no one will give you a hug.
I'm fascinated, right? Because I've never actually tried to describe any spirits as types of hugs before. And then I never knew there was as many types of hug as we're at.
I have them all written down here now. I'll put them into the group after, just so I can let you all know the different types of cuddles and hugs.
No, I've been hugging wrong for years now.
That's it, yeah. We're doing a hugging masterclass after this.
I can do that. I can do that.
So we're going to move on to number 6 again. We're going to taste 15 mils of number 6. Let's have a little look at the color on this one. This one is probably a little paler. Probably I won't say the palest of the 6, but is definitely a little paler than the last few we've had. And we'll get some aroma from
it. Good man, Adam. And gin makes you sin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah.
I'm so happy. I'm more than happy to meet up after we can all meet up in real life and hug everyone. Totally up for that.
Oh, good God.
No,
yeah.
We'll have a hug.
You're putting yourself out there now. Look.
Let's have a brandy reunion, Mother Max, when we can. We can just hug it out. Just hug it out.
Meghann, I know this has been recorded, but they do say brandy makes you randy, so you better give over the hugging bits.
Oh, okay, we're going to move on very quickly now to the nose.
I'm just saying there's an app idea out there. Instead of Tinder, you can call it Hugger.
Exactly.
So
and great people.
Okay,
and their hugs.
we're getting some comments in. Unripe banana. Someone is saying it's their least favorites. You know, it smells like the least kind of hug. The
color isn't as warm, I don't think.
No, it's not right. It's definitely not right. The color is probably the palest of the 6.
Yeah.
This one, I'm going to say there's a little bit of stewed fruit to it. There's a little bit of honey to it, bit of vanilla, but there is something in the background, right? And it's. How do you? I don't want to say wet dog, right? Because wet dog is the wrong one. But there's something funky in there, right?
Hold on, I give it 2 seconds. I'm pouring water over the dog here at the moment.
James Walsh just saying burnt rubber. Yeah, do you know what? That's a great call, right? That is a great call on it.
I like Deirdre Carey's comment.
Bananas, yeah.
Absolutely.
So do you know what? Let's go in and taste this one, right? Because the smell is quite funky, right?
Go on, so Meghann, what do you think?
I wasn't expecting that now. I didn't think it would give that much of a kick. That was a strong kick now.
Yeah, it's stuck in the back of my throat.
Hmm.
There's definitely there's
Anyone want to hazard some flavors? James Walsh said this is very good. I like this one as well, James. Yeah.
Tequila, you're not far off, I think.
Tequila.
Yeah. Kind of has that tequila sensation actually when you're like smelling. Oh, it's not too bad, and you drink, you're like, ooh.
I'm gonna say, right, Jerry said it's more like a whiskey.
Yeah, there's more of an earthiness to it.
Yeah, there's a huge earthiness to this, right? And I'm also getting kind of like almost. Remember as a kid, right? And you used to lick things, right? Which we all did. Did anyone ever like a cigar box?
Yeah.
That kind of tobacco and
like the inside of your grandfather's cigarette case or something like that.
Yeah, there you go. Right? There was kind of I suppose how best to describe it. It's kind of like a lingering aroma mixed with wetness. Mm-hmm. That just creates that kind of weird taste, like cigar box.
Yeah, someone had a kind of a leather armchair.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely kind of leathery.
Someone is saying creosote. Yeah.
For me, there's definitely Christmas cake. It's kind of a Christmas cake.
We're back to the Christmas cake now.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. We're gearing up for Christmas in July, so you need to get the cakes ready now, you know.
No, it could be just the amount of brandy that's gone into the cake. Do you know, it could be that as well.
Maybe that is the brandy that's used for making Christmas cakes.
Yeah. Cider and sweet white grape. James is saying, look,
cedar.
Cedar.
Yeah. That's actually a great shout. It's a brilliant shout, actually.
I'm getting a bit of. Oh Jesus! I don't even want to say mushroom.
I was going to say that, and I was like, no, that's absolutely far too.
Yeah, it's really weird. Like, it's just that kind of, that just for some reason mushroom is coming to mind. And again, it's almost like I don't want to say, oh, feck it. Like, it's like, do you ever go in like, okay, I'm gonna ask you this, Meghann, when you're doing all your running and your cycling, right? Do you ever go into the forest when it's wet?
Yeah.
Do you ever get that? Is that the kind of, like, do you ever get that kind of taste from it?
Yeah, that is right. Is that a damp kind of?
Yeah,
correct.
Feeling.
Yeah.
It's like in the morning if you're in the countryside, you know, in the mornings when you wake up and the dew is still on the grass and you're sort of getting that clean smell almost. There's sense of new about it. It's an absolute gorgeous drink.
Well, I used to live in an apartment in Dublin years and years ago, and the basement kind of tasted a little bit like this. It wasn't great.
I think we all lived in that same apartment then.
Yeah, probably did. Yeah.
How he tasted the basement, I don't know, but anyway,
I know.
Look, that's it.
Yeah.
Taste the basement, yeah.
Okay, so there's a bit of pepperiness, a bit of spice, there's a bit of funkiness going on in this one. This is probably the funkiest of the whole lot, right? And I'm going to
socks. Jeez, John.
I don't know. I'd hate to see your socks.
Dirty socks, I think, John, is this. But you know, this kind of, now there's a word I'm going to actually throw out there, right? And it's a word that we only learned probably in the last kind of 6 or 7 months, which is kind of ranchero.
Ranchero.
Rancho. It's a kind of a use all phrase for weird and wonderful.
But they're not like a packet of crisps before rancheros.
Yeah. Rancho is the word, right?
Nick must be teaching you new words on the LWSA course.
No, don't be giving away our secrets as to where we're learning our words. The rancho, yes, but it's kind of like the wilderness and the weirdness that comes from the wilderness, and that there's definitely a kick at that after this one, right? Definitely is a kick at this. Okay, so we've reached the end of the 6th one. I suppose I want to circle back with the folks on with us, and just Fergal, which of the 6 would you actually pay for if you were to pay for it in a bar?
Like, was it number 3 or 4? Was the one that had the best kick in the lot? I think it was number 4. Was it?
4 had the best kick.
Yeah. So if I came in, no, do anything, Mike, is I'd pay for that one, all right, if you had it in your top shelf.
Yeah.
That's a good one. No, that's a good one.
But number 4, I think, Mike, was
number 4, right? Okay, yeah, that
seemed to have that extra little bit
of perfect. Meghann, what do you think? Because you've been taking notes even. Which is the best hug?
Well, can I just say about number 6? I thought that was like do you know when you meet that like family member or friend you haven't seen in ages and they kind of hug you for too long? You're kind of like, okay, let me go, please. That's what I felt. I was like,
the drunk uncle at the wedding.
Yeah, just hugs you for ages, and you're like, okay,
the weird hug.
Well, just to kind of the hug that's too long. But for me, the one that I think I'd go back to is the number 1, the cuddle, the nice little cuddle down my throat. I like the little cuddle, so I think I'd go for number 1.
Beautiful. Colm?
I'd agree with Fergal there. I think number 4 for me, I thought it was excellent. But funnily enough, number 5 I really enjoyed, just because it's a spirit I haven't visited it in years, and just to drink it again like that, I thought it was actually magnificent and such a well put together drink. But 4 was the winner for me.
James?
Well, I was going to go with number 5 actually. Yeah, it's for me it was very kind of smooth. It's just something like I could see myself drinking that kind of all night. You know, and that's the way I kind of look at it. It's something that you could sit down and sip for the night. So that one was definitely for me anyway.
Yeah, I enjoyed 3, right? That's 3 was the one for me, and I suppose here is the probably the reason why I didn't like 1, or I don't really like cider or apples as such, so that kind of rules them out for me, right? But look, I can definitely get it. So we've people coming in with 4, 5, 6, 2. Okay, perfect. Do you want to? Yeah. Let's go through what they were, right? Because again, we this is the interesting part. This is really interesting, actually. I'm going to try and share my screen here. Opportunity share time. Okay. Now let's see if I can do this without going too crazy.
The suspense.
The suspense.
Yeah.
I know everyone is there. Oh, look, it's happening. So has it?
But I'd say number one was Longuellville House Apple Brandy, was it?
Colm, don't be showing off now.
I'm going to say yes. Number one was Longuellville House. Now, sorry, you're all seeing my screen here because I need to open this.
I was wondering. I was like, that's not my desktop.
Look how tidy my desktop is. Right, Cora is on here, and she'd be very proud of how tidy my desktop is. No. Okay. Should come up. There we go. Okay, right.
Oh, okay.
We're moving left to right. So number one, right? Number one, as Colm very, very correctly said, right, is Longuellville House Apple Brandy, right? It's a 2013 bottle, year age statement of it. It's 40% ABV. It's aged in French oak.
Yep.
There's no age statement on this as such, but it's a 2013, right?
Yeah, it's between 4 and 6 years old.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, and the interesting thing, right, about Longuellville House, right, and we're due to visit down there, right, because we sell quite a lot of Longuellville cider, right. It was the 4th distillery to be registered in Ireland, in around the late 1980s, and they use it's a beautiful pot still.
Ireland's only direct fired pot still as well, I think.
I was about you read that off their website, yeah. It is, yeah.
I did. Not now, but you know.
So it is, right, but it's absolutely wonderful stuff, right? And obviously the raw ingredients that come into it are the apple cider that they've created, right? Mm-hmm. Number two, as we look at it there, right, is Cognac Park Borderies. It's it's an absolutely fantastic cognac, aged in French what's pronounced? Limousin oak barrels. Again, there's no age statement with this one either, but it's a minimum of 4 years. You know, it is totally from the Ugni Blanc grape, and a fantastic cognac. Why it's Borderies. Borderies is actually one of the regions, the sub-regions within the cognac region. So you have like Grand Champagne, Petit Champagne, Borderies, and there's one more. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but
myself.
It's definitely there, right?
Borderies is the smallest region or the smallest subsection of cognac as well. So it's quite rare to get
it is
a brandy solely from the Borderies region.
And it's one of the only regions, from what I believe, that are still kind of the producer, i.e. the producer of the grapes, is still making the brandy within the region themselves. It doesn't really go too far. So it's a lovely little story on it, right? Number three then is a beautiful Armagnac, a Delord Bas-Armagnac, and Bas again is the region, the soil type. It's a kind of a blackish soil, and it's an XO. Meaning 10 years. It's now they're you see here is where it gets really kind of funky, right? So it's at least 10 years old. When you actually look it up, right? They're saying that it can be up to 15 years old. Mm-hmm. Can't guarantee it because it's only an XO, but the youngest in there, the youngest Armagnac in there is up to 15 years old. The beautiful thing about Armagnac versus cognac is that there's a blend of grapes that have gone into it, and it makes it a little bit more flavoursome. It makes it a little bit more interesting sometimes. And I think, as we were going through it, I think that was definitely kind of came across from people. You know, it was a little bit more interesting. And you know, it's a
there's a brilliant affordability on Armagnac as well, even through vintages and that sort of thing as well. It's a very accessible drink that, you know, you could have something from the 1970s or the 1960s that is still very affordable now. You know, you can pick up a 1971 Armagnac for in the region of €88 or something like that, which is fairly incredible.
Yeah, you didn't tell us that when we were ordering.
I tried to, but you weren't listening.
So then we didn't try it. So then
subtlety doesn't work. Just come straight to the point, you know.
The fourth one again is from the same distillery, same house. Only it's a 15-year-old age statement. So we know that it is 15 years. Again, when we were tasting it, it shares some definite similarities. I mean, taste-wise, it probably was, the difference in the two was kind of maybe that papery, that leathery kind of flavor to it, which kind of comes with a little bit of age. And you could kind of taste that one through it. Number 5 then, right, is the Calvados. And as we said, Calvados comes from apples and pears. And as we taste that, we could definitely get that kind of that apple and pear, that kind of toffee apple from it. It's a beauty, right? It's a 15-year-old. It's 41% ABV. I thought that would have been my favorite. With the exception that it's made with apples. But I mean, it really is really, really good. And then the 6th one is probably the most expensive of the 6, probably the one that most people didn't like. And it's basically the Cognac Park Borderies, which is the same as number 2, but it's an age statement as in 2006, and it's been aged in. Now, Colm, am I pronouncing this correct? Mizunari or Mizunara oak.
Mizunara. Yeah, so Mizunara oak is a Japanese oak, solely found from the northern island of Japan. So it's kind of famous for, there's a number of Japanese whiskies aged in it. So that's edition number 2, I think, from the Cognac Park range. So
edition 2, yeah. And there's only 660 bottles of it produced.
That's all, yeah. Which is kind of cool to try. It's something different. It's I think it's originally aged in Limousin oak and then finished for about 6 months in Mizunara.
So
that was the dearest one, Mike.
That is definitely the dearest one there, yeah.
Yeah. And like it's kind of cool because there's only like 100 barrels of Mizunara, or 100 Mizunara barrels leave Japan every year. So it's actually really rare for anyone to get their hands on it. Glendalough did a beautiful 13-year-old whiskey a number of years ago, aged or finished in Mizunara oak. So it's kind of cool to try it.
Nice.
So there's a couple of comments coming in. We have John Doyle is saying a big shout out to Celtic Whiskey to do some fantastic brandies. Yeah, they sure do. Someone is asking which is the dearest and which is the cheapest. So the dearest is definitely number 6. That's the 2006. The cheapest, off the top of my head, Colm, would
cheapest was Longuellville House, I think.
No, it's not.
No? I'm sure
No.
I'm bad at my job then.
Because it comes in a 500ml bottle.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It comes in a smaller bottle, though.
Yes.
So I think
is the Cognac Park Borderies.
Borderies, yeah.
Yeah, and the only Mags, just to put it in context, the only reason we're saying that one is the cheapest is because you get 700 mils of it versus 500 mils of the Longueville. So on a comparative per literage, it's the Cognac Borderies, which was number 2. Number 2 would have been the cheapest, and number 6 would have been the dearest.
Mm-hmm. Jeff Boyle, the Cognac Park XO is actually older than the Hennessy XO as well, by a few years. And at half the price, it's definitely my steal. And if you ever get a chance, I don't think it's quite half the price, but it's close enough to us. But the Cognac Park also do a cigar blend, which if anyone is into cigars and cognac pairings, it's absolutely outstanding. It's really well worth a try. It's probably the best cognac I've ever tried. Well, close to it anyway.
James Walsh has put out a comment about the Colm distillation, and the different flavors that you get from that. Look, in terms of how these are distilled, look, it has a huge effect. Like, and even the type of still that's been used, and Colm mentioned it earlier on, right? Like, I mean, You can have a pot still. You can have some of music. Well, actually, sorry. In terms of cognac, it's kind of defined, right? It is what it is. You can't really move beyond it. In terms of Armagnac, you can use either or. It's up to yourself really. If you want to use a column still, or you want to use a kind of a pot still, or even a pot still with a funkier kind of head in it.
Yeah, a hybrid still.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, and then with the, I don't think with Calvados, I think anyone really minds what you use.
No, it's generally pot stills that are used, but I don't think there's any defining rule really.
Yeah, I don't think there's any rule on that one, but I think with the Calvados, it seems to be that was kind of done in smaller batches, kind of in the back of the farmyard, with the apples that you had left over, or the pears you had left over.
Yeah, like I suppose the wider world of cognac or the wider world of brandies is really worth exploring as well. You know, we go to Brandy de Jerez, you know, you're getting brandies made from Pedro Jimenez grapes that are almost sickly sweet, raisins, and then you know you've grappa from Italy, eau de vies, and so on. There's a huge amount of variation within the brandy world that we're all quite familiar with, but don't actually know it's a brandy. It's kind of cool to see.
Well, I'm going to say it's really interesting, right? Because I mean, when all of us think of brandy, right, and I'm going to throw it out there and see what the people think, because we've all had horrible experiences with brandy, right? We have, and like, because brandy, as Fergal correctly said, you know, it's something that you grow to love, I think. And when you're a brandy drinker, you're a brandy drinker. You know, Hennessy is very, and I think maybe we might get that from today, is very sharp. Is definitely a very distinctive kind of a flavor to it. And you know, while it's probably the brandy that every bar in Ireland stocks, you know, it's definitely not the only brandy that's out there. And just from this alone, like, I mean, there's definitely one or two that I think we definitely stock here. And we're going to get the Hennessy XO in as well for Fergal, because he promises to drink it, you know.
Hey, you on Fergal?
Is he going to pay for it, Mike?
Where did that voice come from? Yeah, where did that voice come from? Who was that talking?
The dilemma, I suppose, with brandy is I suppose dependent. I mean, how I started, my grandmother used to live second next door to us, and unfortunately started me with brandy with a drop of 7-Up in it. And for anyone who starts on brandy and puts 7-Up in it, it's like drinking a mineral until you hit the fresh air. But when it comes to brandy, you see, I suppose really you should take your time drinking it and not do like some of us do when we're out for a night out and just think we can't get enough into us.
Fergal, anytime I served you, you were a model of consistency.
But so, like, you know, I mean, for appreciating your drink, fair enough. But I mean, if you're doing the dogging at somebody, it's not the drink to do the dogging.
I was sure, look, come here, listen, we could say that about every spirit in the world, you know what I mean? You can't really mess around with 40% spirits, you know, whether it's a whiskey or brandy or whatever. But it is, Hennessy is ingrained into Irish people, definitely. It's like the Bordeaux with the Irish names, as James will tell you as well, the Echo Lynch badges and all that. Because it has an Irish name, we almost feel closer to it. And we reach for that bit quicker, I suppose, and it has the brand recognition here. But it's even for me, it's pretty cool to come here tonight and try these brandies, even though I sell them nearly every day and whatever. But trying the 15-year-old Calvados reopen my eyes to something new, even for myself. And I have to say, it was absolutely drop-dead gorgeous. I thought it was an excellent drink, and I didn't think I'd choose an Armagnac instead of a brandy, but there you go. I think that's the
hug you go for, so is it?
That's the hug I go for. The big violent hugs.
and I'm going to say, right, just like in terms of, okay, we've kind of we've stuck to Ireland and France for these, right? It's quite interesting because as we travel around Europe and travel around the world, right, most countries have their own unique type of brandy or brandies, and even regions within that country will have their own types of brandies. Because basically brandy comes from any type of fruit juice, you know, that you have, or any kind of wine, you know. And we were discussing this with a girl last week, and I mean, like, I can't, what part of the world was she? Bratislava or Bulgaria, and they had their own type of brandy, but each of the localities had their own type of brandy, all based on what was growing locally, what was being harvested, you know. And basically what wasn't being used to be eaten was now being used to produce.
I actually have a bottle of Bulgarian brandy.
Hey!
I've not yet opened it. I'm very scared.
But just to remember, like, and even because we've only taken a really small snapshot of it, right? You know, as we widen up, as we look out around, right? There's brandy all over the world. There's all different types of brandy, all different types of regions. Again, I mentioned the program that you'd see on Discovery, Moonshiners, right? They're making brandy out of basically anything they can get their hands on, right? And that is a fact. And just, I suppose what it's probably needs to be noted as well, right? While cognac will definitely be aged, Armagnac doesn't actually need to be aged. It can be drank unaged as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Calvados, I'm not so sure, to be honest. But Calvados is basically coming from your cider or your apples anyway, so you probably could drink it as
I've seen a few variations between Calvados. Like we had one previously that had like a chocolate addition to it that Chateau de Breuil are no longer making. But like, you know, if you're talking more brandies across the world, if anyone's traveled around South America, you have Pisco from Chile.
Yeah.
You know, I think someone put into the chat, Pat put in Metaxa, which is like a Greek brandy. Again, brandy Therese that I mentioned previously, and Grappa from Italy. So there's huge variations between it across the world. It's all basically the same thing, just made in slightly different ways.
Okay, has anyone got any burning questions that they want to ask us or ask any of the guys and girls here? If you have, raise your hand virtually or type it into chat.
I'd like to just add that I think it's great to get this kind of education on brandy because, as you said, like, you know, we wouldn't all necessarily go for brandy straight away, but to actually drink it and to appreciate it and to get the notes and everything, I just think it's kind of opened up my eyes to brandy and the different, you know, there's so much to it. So I actually have to say now, I feel like I have a new appreciation for brandy. So thank you so much for that. And as I said, hugs for everyone when we're in Mother Mac's again.
So when Fergal is buying the first round of brandies, you can go, yeah, I'll have one as well. I'll have one, yeah.
And I'll just give the hugs to everyone. You can just tell me which hug out of the 6 hugs you want.
I'm doing the deal with Colm for the wholesale price of the brandy.
Wholesale for you.
James,
I think you still owe me for 4 pints on the tab above in the White House.
I just about to say, Colm, I'm still waiting for him to buy a pint. Would you stop for crying out loud?
God, actually, I can't ever remember him buying pints.
Oh God! We're moving on. We're moving on. Jeff has said he was lucky enough to try some 50-year-old Calvados. Yeah, look,
pretty cool, I'd say.
Yeah, in reading about it over the last couple of days, because we kind of knew a little bit about it already, but we had to kind of educate ourselves a bit more. Yeah, something like the Calvados and the Armagnac are kept by the producers for themselves predominantly, you know, and are kept for the localities because they're seen as being the better, you know, and the cognac is seen as being the lesser, if that makes sense. It's produced for the masses. And you know, when I was talking to Jan today, when he literally just mentioned this, yeah, the Armagnac wouldn't leave at all because they'd keep it for themselves because they think it's much better. And I think that's something that's probably been reflected a little bit on the call this evening, because I think a lot of people enjoyed number 5. Not number 5. Four more. Sorry to go to my notes again. Number 4 more. And it just goes to the complexity of it, and the blend of different grapes that are in there, and I suppose the age to it as well. Anyone got anything to want to ask us about hugs, even if needs be? You know, no. Okay, if there's no questions, right, I'm going to say, right, a huge thank you to everyone for joining us, right. It's again a quite unusual situation we find ourselves in on the Sunday of the Maybank holiday weekend in Limerick, you know, and it's the second consecutive one that we're sitting in. It's great to meet people. It's great to see people. It's great to have I suppose a sense of community that we'd normally experience in the bar, but we should do it in a different way. Myself and James just want to say a big thank you to all of you. Okay, hang on. Emma's saying wait. What am I waiting for, Emma?
I think she's going to ask you to open the back door and just let us all in because we're all standing outside.
I'm on the way. Seriously.
Tell my dinosaur onesie story. Yes,
I proved on Thursday morning that I can make Dublin to Limerick in an hour and a half. So let's just keep the lights on, yeah.
Emma might sing us a song.
I own a dinosaur onesie. Yes, I do. We were talking about dinosaur t-shirts. So just Emma was collecting her kit the other day, and we were talking about dinosaur t-shirts, and she was sending me the link on to get one of the dinosaur t-shirts because I think they're quite cool. And she happened to comment, which you should get a dinosaur onesie. I already own one. Cora, my missus, is on the call, right? She understands why. We dressed up one year for Halloween as dinosaurs for the kids.
Keep it clean, Mike. Keep it clean.
It was for the kids, right? Totally for the kids. That's what we're going to say. And it was quite unusual, quite funny, and quite a difficult costume to wear.
So where would the dinosaur hug now fit in this one?
Oh, geez.
Hey!
It's number 7.
Number 7, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So just we're gonna wind it up, right? So I'm just gonna say, look, a huge thank you to all of you for joining us, right? A huge thank you to each and every one of you. You should thank yourselves, right? Because not a lot of people will actually come in and try something different and something new, you know. And the fact that you've tried it is a credit to you. Whether you liked it or not is irrespective, right? Because once just trying it is very important. And I'm sure, and I would hope that out of the 6 this evening, that there was at least 1 or 2 that you definitely would like. And I suppose the message that we just want to kind of get across is just to open their mind a little bit to the experiences that are out there in terms of the spirits and the drinks that we have. It doesn't always have to be about the big name brands that we all understand and know. It can be about the different things and the nuanced brands. And look, as I say, massive thank you to all of you. The next tasting that we will be doing will be American whiskey, i.e. more than likely all bourbons.
Hey.
And that will be happening probably in the next 3 to 4 weeks. Date to be determined. We're going to wait.
4th of July, Mike. 4th of July.
I'll be quite. That's Owen. Sorry, that's Fergal's brother now talking in the background, right?
Younger brother. You're supposed to say younger and taller brother.
I was going to say good brother, but like.
I actually dropped his kid out yesterday. He definitely has a sunbed in the house somewhere. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, Saint-Tropez number 5.
We will. The date will be set as soon as we know a little bit more from the government as to the reopening of pubs, either for outdoor experiences or indoor experiences, whatever it's going to be. It looks likely 7th of June is probably going to be a date that we get to open for outdoors. It just puts a lot of pressure on us to kind of. Could you
do that tasting outdoors with a select group, and will you wear the onesie? That's all I want to know.
We could, right? We could do it outdoors. I have no problem saying we've put in for permission to try and use up some of the area outside us. Will I wear the onesie? Depends on how hot or cold it is outside. Because
I think anybody that applies to participate should wear a onesie also, so you don't feel alone.
Well,
there you go.
You could do a whole charitable donation out of us.
Exactly. You could do something like just for the crack.
Yeah.
I'll need a bit of fun.
I think we should just make it a Christmas theme and bring the Christmas cakes.
Hey!
Yeah.
Oh, are you trying to tell us something? Have you a onesie that you want to wear?
I have a birthday suit I can wear.
Oh God.
I don't have a onesie.
Oh dear God.
So, people will go blind, but look, let's not talk on this call about it.
Okay. We're really getting off topic.
Either that or we're getting very on topic.
It's the official brandy, Mike.
Brandy. All we're missing now, Fergal, is your keyboard, and we'll be sorted.
Oh, Jesus, James. Don't encourage him. Don't encourage him. We'll be here all night.
He did ask, could he have it? We said no.
I could have sang my way through the tasting.
He said he felt naked without us.
Mother Max onesies, yes, Padlock, and we're going to get something for the crack. Right. On that note, seriously, a big thank you to everyone. Right, we're going to call it an evening. And stay safe, mind yourselves, social distance, wash your hands, all that good stuff. It won't be long until we can all sit together in a reasonable manner in pubs. It won't be the same for the first while, but look, we'll get to see each other. We may not be able to hug Meghann for the first while, but hey, look, it's good just to see everyone. So look, a big thank you to Meghann, a big huge thank you to Fergal and to Colm. I mean, without you, this wouldn't be half the experience that it would. It'd just be myself and James talking to ourselves, and we do that most days here anyway. So
I was witness to that on Thursday morning. It was quite special.
You witnessed
it was very, very special.
So on that note, right, I'm going to say thanks very much, and we're going to call it a night. And I'm going to say we really appreciate every one of you. Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Thank
boys.
you.
Have a
Thanks,
good
Jen.
one.
See you all. If anyone has any
Bye.
questions, drop me a line on Twitter.
Yeah, 100%.
Good luck.